All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Mob Psycho 100, Season 2, Episode 12. All right.
All right. Last episode was absolutely insane.
It was amazing.
Absolutely ridiculous and crazy in all the right ways.
Shimazuki buggered off so fast. He noped into like another dimension.
Oh yeah.
and Mob is the MVP. Mob is being a leader. He told everyone to wait here and let him handle this. Now, Shou is still confronting his dad, though, right?
Right. Or at least he's still with his dad.
I believe so.
The confrontation might be over.
Might be over.
Yeah.
Yes. Dimple is with Mob, though.
Yes, that's right.
Per Reigen's request specifically.
Yes.
Yes, that's really good because while, Mob is, I would say, a hardier person than he was in the beginning of Season 2.
For sure.
It's still good to have someone go with him.
Right, to not be alone.
Exactly.
And he's about to face Serizawa.
And Serizawa, I think, is a perfect roadblock in between him and Suzuki because Serizawa is a lot like Mob.
Yep.
So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. Other than that, are the friends going to listen and stay, or are some of them going to come help?
Hopefully, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Get ready, wake your psyche up, Mob. Get ready, dig your anger up, Mob. Get ready, wake your psyche up, Mob. Get ready, coming down. Can you feel your satisfaction? Your Mob, can't you feel your own frustration? Coming down, could you feel your satisfaction? You're a Mob, what you want to be. Imma hanran shite ku kanjou wa minimoto to break it down. Genkai koe mireru kishikai 99.9 Shote fume percent genji. Could write my life, could write my psyche, could write my heart in such common places. Is that your deal? Is that your mind? It all begins when it hits 100. The Mob is live, the Mob is high, the Mob is staying frustrated, aren't you? Is that your deal? Is that your mind? And Masaku, whoa, your life is your own. Get ready, wake your psyche up, Mob. Get ready, dig your anger up, Mob. Get ready, wake your psyche up, Mob. Get ready. Oh, Serizawa.
Yep. Enough though? Yep.
Okay. Oh. Backstory. Wow. Jeez. Whoa. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's extremely socially anxious.
And he's kept it this entire time. Wow.
Oh.
Holy crap.
It's okay because I am here. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Mob. Oh. Jeez. Whoa. Wow. Wow, he gets his entire worldview from the president. Yeah, from Suzuki. See, he doesn't even believe it. Yeah. Whoa, Mob. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Magic item.
He's just focused all his psychic power into the umbrella.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Oh! Oh my god!
Wow.
Whoa, Mob, that was genius! Oh! Okay.
Yeah, just a bit.
Dang.
Okay.
It's that. Yeah,
Right.
dang. Whoa. Oh.
Wow.
Oh. This is exactly like Mob.
Yep.
Jeez.
Let's find a place where he belonged. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Whoa. Wow. This is Serizawa's explosion, not
Right.
Mob's.
Well, could be both.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
What? Yeah, what?
Is Mob just...
Oh my god.
He's doing what Reigen did. Or he's it's the
Yeah.
it's the same thing as Reigen with...
Yeah, yeah. Whoa.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, this
That's
is so
awesome.
good. Wow.
Okay. All right. All right.
Oh.
彼らが我が物顔で扱っている力、あれは私の力だ。自
Wow.
分のエネルギーを他人に分け与える。
Dang.
また他人のエネルギーを自分の中に取り込むこともできる。
Oh, hello, all for
誰
one.
にも知られていない真の切り振り牧者たちからは返却してもらおう。
Oh my god. Well, he's getting even more juiced up before
Although
Mob
it's only a
fights him.
fraction, so it shouldn't really matter that much,
That's
right?
true. The true protagonist of this world. Oh.
Okay.
God. Okay.
Hey there.
Wow.
何者だ。
Who are you?
彼はあんたの暴走に悩んでいたんだ。僕に
Dang. Yeah.
変わった。
Yes.
Just a bit.
事情を知ってるような口ぶりだ。
Oh.
芹沢さんに聞いた。に会っている様子が見るに耐えなくて階段を降りてきた。再できなかった自分が情けなくて消えたくなったこと。
Whoa.
芹沢が負けたと言
God, this
That's
is so
right.
good.
俺を部屋から出してくれたのは社長だ。
Yeah, they get to talk.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
so
傷
wholesome.
つける必要があるんだろうって逃げていたけ
Oh.
ど、裏で誰かが泣いてまで得られる充実でいなかった。
Oh, what a good
気づ
guy.
かせてくれてありがとう。
Yeah.
図のままか。
Serizawa, I hope you heard that.
他人など当てにしてい
I
ない
hope you heard that.
人とのつながりなど意味のが完成している
Oh.
から。
Really?
Oh.
Sure. Okay.
誰だって人が必要なんだ。
Yes.
He's like, oh, I do too. I just, took everything from them. So,
Whoa.
もし相談相手がいないのなら
Even Mogami.
私は
Whoa.
yeah.
これで動けるようになる。
私と同じ力。
動ける？ああ、なんとか立てるさ。君も避難して。
Oh my god.
もう少しある。
Whoa. Oh.
実は私の天敵になる。
He's like, okay.
僕は話し合いに来たんだ。影しろしげよ。こういうやつには何を言っても。
Oh no.
目障りだ。
Oh.
に消えろ。
Oh. Okay. Okay. He's okay.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Yep.
表に出した。
There's. Yeah.
僕にはあれが辛そうに見えたよ。
I think he looked concerned.
から見れば頼りないが、
No.
No. Yes. Yes, exactly, Reigen. Whoa.
It's very interesting that Reigen says that in particular.
Yeah. Oh my god, he's 2D. He's 2D.
Okay.
Oh. If they talk, they have a talk battle, I'm going to be just, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
All right.
Oh, Mob.
Okay.
Dang. Whoa, that's such a good line. Oh.
I mean, that might work with psychic powers, but not as far as you as a person.
Dang. That's terrifying. Oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. Talking is over. Oh, crap. Jeez.
Okay.
And he's still trying.
Yeah, but he is trying.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, you can't be serious. Oh my god,
Yes!
Reigen.
Yes!
Reigen, please. Please be careful, Reigen. Please be careful, Reigen.
It's gonna be fine.
Oh. Oh, Shou. Oh, buddy. Oh, they're drawing the connection like we did. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
This has me so entranced. What is going on?
Is surprise.
Oh god, please don't kill Reigen. Please, no.
Reigen's gonna be fine.
No! No. Come on, show us. He's okay.
Because Reigen would never actually die.
Yes!
Oh yeah!
Serizawa!
Oh yeah!
Yes! Oh!
Alright!
Oh, what a good boy. Oh! Rage! He's like, I'm done talking. Never mind. Yeah, get me out of here. Yeah. Oh! Oh my god! Yes! Catch them. Minagishi. Oh, wow. Whoa, he's helping.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Dang. Oh crap! Oh my god. Oh, okay, let's fight.
All
Let's
right.
do this. Did that say output 10%?
Yeah. So I think it's Okay,
That's
so
his
he's gonna
power.
he's gonna have a count up too. Okay, Shaggy.
Oh boy, here we go, y'all.
思う存分ぶつけられるこの力この怒りを
Holy crap!
I am
crap.
so on board with this.
All right.
One more episode after
Okay.
this, and it's all probably gonna be just this fight.
And we'll have to wait
To wait
a week
Yeah.
for how they're gonna. Okay. All right.
All right, y'all. All right. I mean, yeah. I loved what they did with Serizawa this episode. I loved how Mob basically took everything he's been learning over the course of the entire show and applied it into talking with Serizawa here. Because if anything, I think Mob's perceptiveness, his perception has reached out beyond himself entirely. Like he used to, I would say, hold a lot of it back internally. And now he's able to see truly what's going on around him. And by willing to be honest in his communication, like Reigen was saying, and say exactly how he feels, he's able to just pierce through that armor that Serizawa kind of intentionally like kind of shrouded himself in.
Oh boy. Wow.
Hey, y'all. Mob Psycho.
My head is buzzing right now with what I have witnessed. Wow.
Like, can we say growth and also, like, realization of said growth?
So many things we could say
like-
about this episode.
like-
Like, holy crap, where do we even start?
Mob.
I mean, yeah, like Mob. And the thing is, here's the thing. We knew it was going to be amazing, especially with him facing Serizawa, and we kind of figured that it would go sort of this way, you know?
Yes.
But that still could not have prepared us for the actual execution and just seeing it with our own two eyeballs and everything that happened after, and just holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Mob's lines were on point. I think
they really were.
I think that what's the most shocking twist I would say about all of this is how confident Mob is in his perceptions. Now, one of the things that's very common I would say in people is being able to see when something is off. Most of us, I think, are able to tell when someone's in a bad way. So they look at Serizawa and they don't even need to. They don't even really need much intuition. They just look at him and go, "Yeah, something's off with you, buddy."
Yep.
But the thing is that when you declare your perceptions, there's a lot of uneasiness, a lot of anxiousness, because in a way you're kind of judging a person. You're basically saying, I have certainty in my perceptions, and I will interpret those perceptions to be in a specific way, and then I will act based upon that. But Mob, with this like snappy confidence and not loud. Like one of the things that's
just calm.
Nothing accusatory in the like I would say negative, aggressive way. It's all just like you said, calm.
Well, I would say there is a part of it that is
accusatory.
Aggressive and accusatory in the sense of like, how can you say that this isn't good? Look at the stuff you're doing. But it's not angry. It's
right.
Like
It's something that we look at Mob and we think about all the ways in which he has become self-aware. Self-aware not only of his present state, but what went on in the past. And one of the best ways I would say to have him deal with the past and reconcile with it is having him take actions in the present that show that he's moved on from the past. And we started that with him forgiving Reigen. And that was huge. The emotional climax of that was so big, but now we're seeing him in the flow, in the do, in what he does with the people stealing from the clerk store earlier in the previous episode, and now here with Serizawa, someone who could have, like, Mob could have grown up to be. Mob could have definitely grown up to be a shut-in who's terrified of himself and his own powers.
If not for Reigen, he probably would have.
And in a lot of ways, that's something that Reigen was an alternate version of
Suzuki. Yeah.
Or Suzuki. Yeah. It's something that's really cool that they actually had Reigen and Suzuki chat in this episode, because Suzuki recognizes that part in Reigen. He says, you have no powers, so you're obviously someone who manipulates and uses other people. So I recognize that part of me in you. And I will get to that in a second. But God, Mob just zeroing in on exactly the things that in a lot of ways he would have needed to hear.
Exactly.
So he saves himself in a lot of ways, or he shows how he could have saved himself by, having his future self, who he is now, and that's, talk to the past version of him. And
that's what ended up convincing Serizawa, is Mob showing him, I'm just like you. I'm
just like you, buddy. In a lot of ways, there's parts of Mob still that are a little bit like that.
Right. He's still working on himself.
Right.
But the thing is, that's the point. That's the point.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's been this constant theme throughout Mob Psycho, throughout it, of people who are frozen in their growth. Basically, they made a decision to not focus on it and remain locked in some place in the past.
Sure.
They're stuck there. In a lot of ways, Mob was kind of stuck there.
Oh, yeah.
And this is basically Mob saying, I can just, like with the Body Improvement Club, I can just stumble forward while exhausted, exasperating, and sweating, panting, and everything. But I'm making progress.
Right.
I am gaining momentum.
Yeah.
There's this, I would say, compounding effect that I think is almost kind of a meta connection to the fact that Suzuki has this compounding ability with his powers.
Oh, sure.
And that Mob is now starting to tap into that.
Right.
He's using it himself.
Yeah, that's very intentional. That's not accidental. Or rather, even though that is the thing that is literally like the most cliched, have a villain that, just scales infinitely, right?
Right.
Yeah. But it's so integrally tied into the story and Mob's development and everything and what they've done with not just Mob, but the other characters as well.
Yep.
It's so fantastic because the thing is, Mob does that exact same thing, just not with his powers.
Yep.
Right?
Well said.
Suzuki is just a microcosm, an example made manifest of how powerful it is to be able to basically keep yourself growing.
Yeah.
The problem is that he relegates it to one area.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he says, then I don't have anything else to learn. He's in an echo chamber, right?
Yep.
That's not good. It's not good.
It's something where you cannot see your own blind spots. Shimazaki was basically doing the exact same thing in the previous episode where he focused on only psychics.
Right.
And then Reigen came in
and beats the crap out of him.
And this is something where Reigen calls him out on this and says, you're only able to see powers that are invisible.
Right.
But you're not able to see all the other powers that human beings have. And I love that Reigen teased him by basically poking a hole in his whole philosophy by saying, I'm complete, I'm absolute.
Right.
Reigen could be completely BSing about the 4 ways that could beat him. Now, here's the thing. I actually think this is probably one of the most meta things, one of the most genius things Reigen ever did. I think all of this was an excuse to try and get up close to see if he could
punch him.
Because he feels like he's on a roll. I did it with Shimazaki. I can do it with this guy. And he doesn't know how powerful he is. So he basically tries to do the same thing. But the actual thing of saying, I know 4 ways that you can be beaten, what he basically did was said, oh, you're an absolute, complete, perfect person? Wonderful. Did you know that I still have 4 ways he can beat you? And he goes, no, you don't.
Right.
And then he's like, well, maybe I do. And he's like,
and
wait,
the fact
he can't prove that he doesn't. So he has to be like, wait, there's something I don't know.
Exactly. And that's what goes to show just how faulty Suzuki's logic is that he doesn't even believe it himself, because as soon as Reigen says, no, you're wrong, I actually can beat you, here's this guy, he doesn't have any psychic powers at all. And he doesn't say that he has 1 way of beating him, he says he has 4. 4.
It's genius.
It's absolutely ridiculous, right? And but he's so paranoid. He's so like, well, actually, I'm not sure, right? Because this is everything that I have. Because he realizes, at the very least, that he does focus entirely on his psychic powers and he doesn't think about anything else.
Right.
Now, was
Right.
Reigen's punch enough to actually defeat him? No.
Right.
But that being said, it unnerved him. And I
Yeah.
love that. And the fact that Reigen actually went there and did all of that when that was
Reigen.
in so many ways, that was one of the stupidest things he could have ever done.
He
Like-
is so lucky. Like I have to imagine on some level, like he was not like partnered up with Serizawa. Serizawa just decided to basically Serizawa's probably like watching from the side, like, and he's just like,
Serizawa was sitting there, and he's like, as he like walks up the stairs, he's like, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, that stuff's over there." I'm just thinking through my life. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go try help. And he's like, "What? You don't have any psychic powers or something? No, it's gonna be fine."
well,
or whatever.
I want to assume also Serizawa is listening on the conversation so that he's
Sure.
like, you President, you actually don't care about me.
Right.
But okay, another thing, Dimple here nearly got like wasted, nearly got obliterated, and I love that. I love that Dimple is here to be kind of a reaction sounding board for Mob's development and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wish Dimple had been around to see Mob talking to Suzuki for the full thing.
Yeah.
But almost immediately, Dimple got punted into space.
And like, okay. I get the feeling. I'm pretty sure no one of like the main cast is actually going to die in Mob Psycho. Given all the stuff that's happened of the scares to where they come close and then they don't actually do it, it's like, okay, yeah.
They almost killed Reigen, though. Like,
yes, but like they almost killed Bob's parents. They almost killed Dimple. They almost killed,
I reserve those big things probably for more end of series kind of things.
Right, and even then, I have a feeling that Mob Psycho is not actually going to go there. That they scared us with the whole thing with Mob's parents, but they're not actually going to go there. But still, you care about it because these guys.
Yeah,
you care about these guys. And that Reigen was absolutely laying down his life for Mob right there. Like, and it wasn't even necessarily going to do anything. And that's one of the things that I can find the most powerful about moments like this in stories when they happen, because anyone can imagine, okay, I would like to think that if it was in a situation where I could save the world by sacrificing myself, that I would do it. But what if it's something where it's not a guarantee? What if there's just one person that you're trying to save, and you're pretty sure you won't be able to do anything, and you'll die, and it'll maybe give them 1% better odds? You know, would you still do that? You know? Like, at what point? What if the scales don't balance, right? Yeah. In like a traditional, emotionless sense, right?
For sure.
What would you do? And that's the true awesomeness of Reigen. That's the true awesomeness of Mob, is that, the whole thing of Mob's true powers not being about his psychic powers, but it being about who he is as a person. Same thing with Reigen. That's why he's Mob's master. That's why Mob listens to him, even after Reigen's done all, used him and manipulated him and stuff.
For sure.
And that will be an awesome lesson to see Suzuki learn.
Totally. One thing that I really liked about the whole Serizawa thing, I just wanted to finish this up really quick before we move on to the whole Suzuki thing entirely, is Serizawa, we saw him basically being told that he could take his room with him. Now here's the thing here's the thing that I find to be actually really beautifully sad about that, is that Serizawa didn't leave his room until Mob basically showed up today.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing. In Serizawa's mind, and I think in a lot of ways in a lot of ways I think it would be very easy to not notice this, is that you're like, well, wow, Suzuki got him out of the room. Like he kept him from being a shut-in.
Yep.
No, he didn't. Basically, by bringing him out here, he gave him a purpose, yes, but he basically said, okay, now you're my shut-in.
Right.
You're my person. You can't watch TV. You can't like speak with the outside world. Like you're going to basically be near me, because according to what I've told you, you will be okay as long as you're either with me or you're underneath this umbrella. And I get the vibe that Serizawa basically, probably didn't like being just underneath the umbrella. You know why?
Why?
Because that reminded him of the room. So one of the things that we've seen in this show, every time we've seen Serizawa, like Suzuki is very close by, like very close by. So I think one of the really subtle potential things going on here, it might be contradicted by something. I'm trying to see if there is anything, but so far it seems legit, is that because once the umbrella was taken from him, he didn't think, oh, that's okay, I still have Suzuki. Like, I still have... Suzuki's right up there. He, like, freaked out and grasped at the umbrella. So I think in his mind, actually, he's still in his room. The umbrella is actually all he has. He was already subconsciously, like... shut back in again.
Or subconsciously he acknowledged that Suzuki did not actually care about him, but because he had the physical evidence of him being outside of his room, even though he still was mentally inside of his room with the umbrella, he attributed it to Suzuki as opposed to himself potentially. And and the crazy thing is that if Suzuki hadn't done that, he wouldn't have met Mob. He would have He would have actually stayed in his room forever.
You mean Serizawa? If Serizawa hadn't done that?
No. If Suzuki had not come to like recruit him,
then Serizawa would not have met Mob.
Right. Serizawa would not have met Mob, and he would have physically stayed in his room probably forever. Right. Which is a crazy thing to think about, because Suzuki did not at all intend for there to be any beneficial side effects to his recruiting Serizawa for Serizawa. It was strictly like utilitarian, and he was manipulating him and all that stuff. But there's still good things that can come out of that, right? Because Serizawa's never gone, right? You know, like he might have not been in a good way, right? For sure. But he was still there, right? And he could still make decisions and choices. Even if he was in not good circumstances to help him make those choices.
Right. An example of this is back in a previous episode when one of the guys from the government tries to come in and assassinate Suzuki. Serizawa comes in and just one-shots him. Suzuki says, oh, Serizawa, you held back on him. I see. Yes. Basically, he was commending him, basically showing a form of mercy. Because he's like, you have such potential. But he didn't show it as Suzuki didn't mention it as a positive thing of like, your mercy. That's what Serizawa was kind of intending, because he doesn't like to hurt people. But he also needs the president, Suzuki,
to approve.
Right. So he acknowledges, your potential is so great. That's what he says. And he's like, oh, thank you, you know, president and stuff. And when Mob basically says, you know, I'll be your friend. Basically gives him this thing there and starts attacking his really fragile House of Cards worldview. You see, like, Serizawa's like, I haven't strengthened this at all. It immediately starts fracturing. And by
small gust of wind.
That, I think, just adds further evidence that the umbrella was really in Serizawa's mind all he had. At least he didn't fully 100% believe in Suzuki. He needed to believe in Suzuki. And I think that gives Serizawa a character that separates him a little bit from Mob. Just a little bit from being kind of a copy of that, but just older. But also gives him some really cool opportunities for if he, you know, goes past this story-wise. I think that what they've done basically in the past with Mob Psycho's really tertiary side characters is probably what they'll continue with here. And he won't probably have any like real big things in the plot.
He'll be the same as like some of the Claw members from the first season.
Sure. Or you know, no bigger than I would say like Teru or something like that.
And even then probably
not
much.
So fantastic stuff there. Fantastic. Then Mob basically comes up and says, you know, I'm going to talk to you, Suzuki. Like, you need to understand that I know what your son is fearing, because he's the exact same as Ritsu was in being scared of me, that I would lose control. And Shou is just like, whoa, he's grown up. He's
major
changed.
Props to Shou. Like, Mob was absolutely amazing this episode. Serizawa was amazing. Their whole dynamic was amazing. Reigen was amazing. Shou was the one that surprised me, because I did not like the other things I kind of expected.
Sure.
You know, like even Reigen coming back, like that's something that felt natural.
Right. It felt like Mob Psycho,
Yeah, exactly. It felt like Mob Psycho. And having Reigen face off against Suzuki even for a little bit when the connection is so strong between Reigen and Suzuki and Mob and Serizawa totally makes sense. But Shou caring so much, I didn't like, and refusing to leave even after Mob gives him the ability to leave.
Yeah.
When he, like, there is nothing he can do, and he knows that, right?
Yeah.
Major props. Good job.
Yeah.
Like that.
They took basically that shonen protagonist kind of, thing that Shou has going for him with the spiky, orange hair and having, a god complex father that he has to deal with. Right. We've seen it all. So that's something that's fun. But the whole I'm going to keep trying even though I have no business being here. It improved his character a lot. It showed us how much he really needed his father to be stopped.
Right. Because the thing is, Shou is very proud as a person.
Sure.
And the
from
thing
what we've
is,
seen,
Right, from what we've seen. And you could have him do those things from a place of pride.
Yeah.
And you could totally do that. And I wouldn't have batted an eyelash. But this was not pride.
No.
This was genuine caring about Mob and about his dad. Yeah. Right?
He was the person that basically would be like, I will throw my life out there for the less than 1% chance of making things a little bit better.
Right.
And I think that's the sign of a hero. That's a good thing there. Also, I gotta say, Suzuki is definitely like a dark Reigen. Like he is Reigen with no morals, like godlike powers. And what I loved was that he brought up how early this started on in his life. Because with all the scars back in season 1, they were all kids in adult bodies. Yeah. Like they were all basically like man-children and stuff like here. And now we have Suzuki here basically doing the same thing.
And the whole middle school thing also was great for like showing the similarities and the parallels between him and Mob too.
Yes.
Because there are like while the personality-wise and everything, he is much more of a Reigen. As far as the powers go, it ties a lot into Mob in sort of, what Mob could have become, right? Yeah, because there was the whole thing with his, him needing to come to the terms with his psychic powers in the internal world that was created by Mogami, yeah. So seeing that here, that, like, having the villain say, I'm just like you or you're just like me, that's
pretty cliche.
That's pretty cliche. That's about as cliche as it gets. But
and it hurts, especially when they're not actually like them at all. It's like, who wrote this?
Right. But the thing is doing that is one of the best things you can do in your story when it actually makes sense, when it feels right.
Yes.
Because then there's it's adding more to the conflict, right? Because it's adding contrast and contradictions and complexities and stuff to the main character and their whole plight, since they are facing against this person, right? It's a way to mirror it with them battling their own inner darkness, whether that's something that they've already defeated or whether it's something that is still an ongoing problem,
right? And
something about that line, whether it was the context or how it was delivered, of saying that it was when I was in middle school, not unlike you guys. It connected.
Yeah. It connected really well with me too. I think that Suzuki as a character is something that I think does a good unique spin on the whole I have a god complex kind of stereotypical bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he actually thinks he's the protagonist. He said there can only be one protagonist of this world. And in a lot of ways, that was probably one of the cheesiest lines he gave.
Oh, yeah. That was super cheesy.
That was super cheesy. But if anything, because he saw this whole world as this way back in middle school and hasn't changed his opinions on that, basically, he was trying to say, like, hey, you can't grab the moral high ground. Like, you can't supplant my viewpoint here. It is invaluable. It is beyond valuation. It is perfect because I have dealt with nothing to the contrary since middle school. Right. I can view the world in my hands, and he's spouting off and monologuing about how all this thing there, and Mob is just denying it with experiential truth, something that
and no use.
Well, yes, but like I love that he's using experiential reality, basically saying, you don't understand. I have experienced things you haven't. It's another form of what Reigen's saying. There are 4 ways that I can defeat you.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, Suzuki can't admit anything about what Mob is saying because it would basically give him this incomplete aspect of who he is.
Because he's in an echo chamber, anytime anyone says anything, he basically has to la 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 la, not listening. Otherwise, it could disrupt everything. And because he's not used to basically hearing other opinions and actually giving them any weight. In
a lot of ways, he has a very similar setup to Serizawa, but his worldview that he's developed is so hard. It's so tightly interwoven into who he is. It's something that I actually almost wished they would have made him a little bit more complicated by having it be when he went and explored the world, like he went and traveled and stuff. He would have seen humanity's weakness, humanity's strengths, humanity's all these things here, and he saw basically like he either went towards the nihilistic approach of despair that there's no saving them, there's nothing he can do, so if anything he needs to do what he can. He needs to have his hands in every piece of the pie, or some other twist on that. But instead, what he basically just searched for was, there's no one stronger. There's no one stronger. And I'm like, you know what? That would have bugged me if this wasn't Mob Psycho, because it's like, okay, fine. You've searched everyone's power level. Right.
It's dealing with the cliches that we're so familiar with, and not necessarily deviating from them, but embracing them and then asking questions about why those exist in the first place and what they can do with that in such a way so that even though it is a cliche that we're tired of, it can still have impact.
And it has a lot of impact because he decided this. Like it's almost like he couldn't have couldn't have explored everyone. Like this is something that
you're right. That's why it has impact for me, is because he's so absolutely wrong.
Right.
Is that here's Mob. The whole premise of this story is that Mob is the most powerful, basically, right? So
now he could be less powerful than him at the moment.
Right, exactly, because the whole 20 years thing or whatever, right?
Sure.
But the idea is that, no, you didn't search. Yeah. You didn't search, really. You petted your ego for a while, right? And then you were like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And you're so in that echo chamber that when there is a very strong evidence to the contrary, you're like, nope, I already decided, don't bother me with facts.
I mean, he did immediately upon seeing that he had the scaling ability. He's like, oh, you're my enemy. Right. Goes for the instant, kill. Now, I have to give respect and props for him there.
Yes.
That was actually mid-conversation.
Yep.
He is doing the Incredibles thing of, you sly dog, you caught me monologuing. Yeah. But instead, he's basically like, oh, you're my enemy. And then Mob's like, huh? And then Mob got some serious damage done to him before Reigen showed up and everything.
Yep.
So it was a little worrisome because you look at something they've been doing a lot this season is they've been showcasing the aura of the people that have psychic powers more prominently.
Oh, sure.
And you notice how his have this kind of
fire?
No, it's like a grid, like a microchip. It basically looks like a bunch of little microchip, like little wires and things like that. Not wires, but like grids, with like little, I don't know how to say it, but basically,
was there like a plaid design on his energy itself, or
no? It seemed more like a computer chip. You know how when a computer chip is flat and green, and there'll be the little gold like little lines and stuff all along them and stuff, but they don't necessarily overlap. They like perfectly.
I'll need to see this episode again and check, because I didn't notice anything.
He summoned the sun thing. Right. That's that. There was that as well, but his aura seemed like he was basically like, no, this is perfection. This is perfection. I'm only using 10% of my abilities. Yes. I'm like, well, have you seen question mark
right, exactly.
yet? Because until
There's
that
always
happens,
a bigger fish.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if they will actually go through the aspect of like, oh, you're using 10% of your power, so that means you're burning 2 years worth of energy that you've stored up. Is that like, because are they going for the thing of his overall mana pool gets increased and he just keeps throwing stuff on there, or is it something where now his total like level essentially went up? You know, because like, is it something that's like a resource that he's spending?
Yeah, I don't think that's how it is. I think it's
probably
more,
not.
I think it's more that he upped his capacity and he has an amount of time he can use a percentage.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is indeterminate, so it can be as however long.
Because otherwise, this fight would be a lot less worrisome.
A lot less worrisome.
It'd be hard to get worried if he was actually using like ammunition concretely.
Yeah. Mob Psycho is not a mechanics-based.
Exactly. Because the whole point is it's just, you've got people that are stupidly powerful, right?
Right. And
there you go.
And it's also more about people growing as people.
Exactly.
That's what the story is about.
That's tied into them being stupidly powerful is their development as people and all that stuff. Yep.
I am so glad that Reigen came up here.
Yes.
He didn't need to, but he kind of did.
And seeing him with the gun was awesome. That was so awesome.
So he grabbed it from the scar. Yeah. I have to assume, because Reigen couldn't have gotten up there that quickly, that he basically like telekinetically boosted Reigen up or something. That's how Reigen just suddenly there, and it's like Reigen on his way up, just floating up, just like, okay, I'm almost there. Like, oh my god, don't look down.
Or there was like an elevator that went up to like the 20th floor or something, and then there's the staircase, and then he goes.
Oh man.
But yeah.
Okay, so everyone's betrayed Suzuki.
That's right.
I love it. But Serizawa saved Reigen. Minagishi saved the ones that fell.
Yep.
And now it's everyone and Mob against Suzuki.
Right. Although I would posit that Suzuki was not actually betrayed by anyone.
Oh,
because in order to be betrayed by someone, you have to trust them.
Yeah.
He didn't trust anybody.
He basically said, like, I don't need to worry about whether or not I trust them because I'm so powerful that...
Right. He never relied on them, so how could they actually trust him? Now, he had them do things for him.
He technically relied on them to do certain things.
Yeah, but the thing is, that was just so that he wouldn't have to bother doing it himself.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Like, he wasn't actually depending on them.
Hey, you know what? We were foreshadowed a little bit of his childlike pettiness by the whole thing of this tower being something that has food that he likes. You could see that as a form of a...
Sure.
Yeah, this place has noodles that I like.
Yeah.
Or whatever the food was.
Rice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the last episode of this. Because like,
good.
This is something like crazy, but like... we only have one episode left.
Yep.
So
and Mob's lifting the tower itself. Like, are they in that still, or is he?
They're on top of it.
Oh, okay.
They're on top of it.
So are we taking this to space then?
Let's take this to space.
Are they? Is he just gonna slam it into the moon and then they're gonna do battle up there? Like
he's going to turn him into another satellite for cars to have friends with.
Sure. Or no, this is what's going to happen. They're going to redo the whole bit from One Punch Man, where Suzuki is going to kick Mob up to the moon,
and Mob will be like,
just like, and then fly back. Yeah.
Or he's going to pull a Thanos and throw a moon. Anyways, y'all, this is crazy. Mob Psycho, y'all. There's so much I'm sure we could unpack out of this. But we're going to call the discussion here.
Great episode.
Hope you guys loved the reaction discussion. If you want to see the full-length discussion for this, check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us about Mob Psycho, about the current episodes, no spoilers, of course, or just hang out and talk about whatever. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.